All right, we're pulling something out. Keep looking. This is the first time it's seen the light of day since the early 80s. So we're getting it out. We're going to return it to its former glory. This thing in its day and its time was a high hood with a small block in it. Was kind of something special, and we're going to return it back to what it once was. Obviously it needs a little bit of a wash job, but it hadn't seen the light of day since, like I said, the early 80s, and it is a neat rig. All right, we're good there. So there it is. What do you think? It's a Jeep. The old CJ3B High Hood. So we're gonna get it all cleaned up so all the grandkids can drive it and they can all have fun with it like we did as kids. So there we are. Well, it's the next morning, and we just got to my dad's place, and I'm gonna put a garden hose on it because it's driving me crazy that it's so it's just so dirty. Oh my gosh, it should clean up pretty good. So yeah, you know, even the trailer's dirty. So I'm gonna garden hose it off, and at least it'll look halfway decent going down the road as we return to Idaho with our brand new Jeep CJ3B. And as we progress here in a minute, I'm going to explain the whole scenario behind this thing, and it's got sentimental value more than anything. So it's been in our family for well, since I was probably before I was born. So I will explain all that here in a second, but I'm going to get to spraying it off with the finest California water in the world. Well, we're heading back, and you know, we have the Jeep on the trailer, and this is Sierra Nevadas. So this Jeep has been all over the Sierra Nevadas. In fact, the first time I went into the Rubicon, which we're not in the Rubicon, but the first time I went to the Rubicon, I was 4 years old. Me, my dad, and Bob, and Richie, who helped me get this thing on the trailer and stuff, we went in the Rubicon at the age of 4. We went in there and idled in there. And so this Jeep, we spent more time, especially Richie and I, we were in this thing constantly with our dads. And then our, you know, Grandpa Rudy, and he was, long story, but we've been in this thing a lot. And I just kind of want to stop because a lot of people on my YouTube channel don't know where the Sierra Nevadas is. And this is the Sierras. We're in the top end of the Sierras. We're probably at about, I'd say about 5,000 foot elevation-ish. It's a beautiful day. And this thing is just born to be in the Sierras. That's what it's, you know, it's seen so much Sierra Nevada time. It's unbelievable. So I just had to stop and take a quick little video of it and just show you how beautiful the Sierras are. And, you know, it's just super nice here. It's just unbelievable. You know, you got water right over here in the distance and the beautiful trees and, yeah, fresh, clean air. And so we had to make one stop for the Jeep to, you know, because it's been in the Sierras so much. Well, I don't know how many hundreds of miles, but we made it home. So we just arrived here, been driving for 3 days to get this thing back here. So let me tell you a little story about this thing. Now that we have it home, we're coming towards the end of the video here. I want to explain what the Willys is all about. So it's a 1953 CJ3B, which is the High Hood. 53 is the first year of these Willys. Do I know everything about these things? I don't. This is my third Jeep. I've owned two prior, but this Jeep actually was the very first vehicle I ever drove. So I think I was around 11 years old. I was driving it up at Sutter Creek, up at the ranch, up where we deer hunted, and drove it a lot. Drove it all the time. It let them, you know, not road hunt, but let's face it, when you have an 11-year-old kid that can drive, let him drive. So not only did I drive this thing a lot, but I rode in this thing a lot. In fact, when I was 4 years old, I went into the Rubicon. I don't know if everybody knows where the Rubicon Trail is, but it was Bob, my dad, me, and Richie went into the Rubicon Trail. And so this is an extended family's Jeep. As a kid, I did most everything with Bob, Shirley, Richie, and Randy. We did everything. And my dad and Bob were, you know, real close, tight friends forever. And went to high school together, that kind of stuff. And Bob got this Jeep from his uncle. Do I know the full story behind it? I don't. I know his Uncle Bill gave him the Jeep. And so Bob took it. I know he painted it this orange. It was green at one point. What year he did that, I'm not sure. I would say early to mid 70s, it became orange. This thing was kind of a stunner. This thing, when it was orange and it had the new white, you know, those white spoke wheels on these things were, they were pretty popular back in the early 60s, or early 70s, excuse me. And they were, this thing was kind of something. It's got different differentials in it. It's got an overdrive in it. It has a small block in it. It's a, it was a real stunner for its time. And it, you know, kind of holds a special place with me because I spent every single weekend up at their ranch in this Jeep, either driving or riding in it. You know, early on riding and then later on driving, and then later on both, you know, in and out of it. So what had happened is Bob, it looks like about 89, 90, he had parked the Jeep in his shop, and that's kind of where it's at until me and Richie, thanks Richie for all the help getting it out. Richie and I, which is Bob's son, pulled it out of the shop, put it on this trailer, and we drug it to Idaho. Shirley, Richie's mom, Bob's wife, wanted me to have this thing, and Ryder, my son, wanted us to go through this and bring it back to its former glory. And that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do much changing on it, I'll be honest with you, because some of these patinas and things are special to me. I know almost every dent in this thing or every little scratch in it. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to restore it back to what it was. Will I update a few things? Absolutely. Will I fix things that are broke? 100%. But I'm going to take this paint and I'm going to put a buffing wheel on it and I'm going to get it all shined up. This seat, we're going to pull the seat out and then we're going to, because it has some rips in it, but overall it's a good seat. It's in great shape. We're going to reupholster it the same exact color. I'm going to get it like a bimini, you know, bikini top for the top of it. We have the original top, which is in the front of this box, this trailer. We have the doors. We have a lot of things in this thing. This thing for its day had a lot of neat stuff, and I want to show you over here. I want my camera, my favorite camera girl. I wanted to come over and show. Look at these little, I don't even know what they call these little tags here, but back in the 70s, they had little machines that you clicked, and it made those little labels. And so this thing has everything. It has, you know, the ignition switch. It has the headlights. It has the winch, electric winch. And I'll get to the winch in a second. It has the heater, I don't know what BU light is. It has BU light. It has throttle. It has winch, a key for the winch. It has fog lights. It has all these gauges in it. It has a Chevy stereo in it. And when I say stereo, I mean AM radio. So it's got a radio in it. It's got the overdrive in it. It has different hubs on it. My dad told me this thing has front and rear lockers in it. And he said that when old Uncle Bill put this thing together, that he really didn't spare any expense. He did everything right. He didn't cut any corners. Let's get to the winch. Let's kind of work our way back on this thing as we're closing up this little segment of Jimmy James. And I hope that you guys can hear me. We got a little wind out here, a little breeze up here, but these right here, let me start with these. These are gun butts with little pads on them. That one you can see better, but they're worn out and old. So I got some feelers out right now, and I'm trying to get a couple that I can replace those. So I'm not going to keep these original, obviously, because they don't work as very well. Yeah, if you have any and you're watching this video and you want to donate some to the Jeep here, we're going to put those on there. Like I said, I got a few feelers out. We can just cut them off and put them up here because that to me is trick. That was something I really, really liked. And I remember as a kid, we looked at this winch, and I'm relying on you guys here. You know, people that tune into my channel, I have a lot of guys that really know what's going on. Who knows what this winch is off of? Let me see the camera here. So it is definitely, you know, we're thinking some kind of a Caterpillar type, you know, backhoe, industrial farm type thing, because everything here has been handmade. The bumper's handmade, and it's so funny that he painted it, you know, the silver, because that was the color that you painted stuff. You know, now everybody paints them white or black. We looked at this tow hitch. Here, I'm going to show her this, or hold her, my camera person. This tow hitch, we discovered as we were looking at it, it's off an old A-arm, like a truck A-arm. And it has a bolt to hold it from hitting the ground when you're driving it. It's got the chain and the lights and all that. And it drops down like so. But look, that's an A-arm. Off some kind of, there's the pad for the spring. So again, if you know what that is, it'd be awesome to find out what they did. I mean, he even left the Zerk fitting on it to lube it up. It's got the old-fashioned lights in there, which is really cool. You know, it just, everything about this thing is just so unique. What am I hitting on here to put this thing back? Hitting on the chain. Oh, hitting on the chain. Yeah, and so you just push it back here, and then this bolt just screws right in. That's just, to me, is just cool. That is so cool. There's nothing, you know, that I want to change. I mean, I want this thing to scream 1974. And that's the goal we're going after. Let me get the hood open here. I think the hood is, under the hood is pretty unique. You know, you're not going to see a lot of these in Jeeps or in anything, does that matter? So, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Keep waiting for it. There we go. There we go. So that, my friends, that's a 265 V8 Chevrolet small block. One of the first ones ever built. It does have the remote oil filter. It has an original type air cleaner. It's got a 2-barrel in it. It's got some kind of Cal Custom aluminum valve cover. So what the plan with that is I'm going to clean this whole thing up. I threw water in it. It seems to keep holding water. So if the radiator's good, we're going to leave it. It has some updated plastic fan in here. It has a small little alternator. So obviously it's all 12 volt at this point. It still has the original battery box, which is over here. It does need to be rewelded, that tab. So I'm going to re-weld that, or I don't even know if it's welded there. Oh no, it's just cinched in there. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to have to do that. He put a heater in it. So it's got an aftermarket type heater in here. I'm not thrilled with the wiring, and Richie was telling me that his dad, Bob, we'll just call him Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob was not happy with the wiring. He didn't like the way he did it, but that's how they did it back in the 60s. And it has, you know, the big block of stuff. So it works. I'm going to get it working first and then may update it down the road. You know, there's some things like we might update the master cylinder, some, you know, safety type stuff we may update. You know, this screen is cool. Who knows what he pulled that off of? And that's the key, because these, you know, these Jeeps have these 7, I think they're 7s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, see, I remember. So they have these 7 slots in them. Pretty famous. And so they put this over there because they're big. And this thing, I'm telling you, I've been in this Jeep where there was no road. The road ended and we went, well, we got to get back to where we're going. And we just drove, just kept over Manzanita and rocks and just wherever. This thing has been in places. I mean, you know, back in the 70s, we just didn't have those issues. You just went where you went. And, you know, I've been in this thing, and I've flown out of this Jeep. I've been outside of this Jeep going over stuff, and out I come. So that's under the hood. So let's go around to the back here. I got some more stuff to show you here. Look at these hubs on this thing. they got some turn knob on them. Again, I do not know anything about that. I'm gonna have to dig into that. I haven't seen that kind of stuff. They look like they're automatic, but they're not. They definitely turn. So if you come back here, I'm gonna show you something we did, and I remember doing it. So as most of you know, follow my channel, I am also big into deer hunting and hunting in general. And you know, over the years, I've kind of, I don't want to say I backed down, I just don't do it as much. But back in the day, in our state of California, we're up in the Sierra Nevadas, we can hunt up there 8 weeks a year in one zone, and on the coastal zone, you can hunt another 7 or 8 weeks. So 16 weeks a year, we were hunting, and we hunted every single weekend. And now, you have one tag on the inland and one tag on the coastal, and you know, we only kill 2 bucks. I'm sure there's been hundreds in here. But again, I don't want to, what do they call that? Telling a tattle out of school, you know? I don't want to do all that. Let me just put it this way. There's been a lot of deer in the back of this thing. And they were all legal, of course. Of course they were, right? Right? My cameraman's looking at me like she doesn't quite believe me. But what I want to show you is, so, you know, we had jump in here, and this is no joke. My dad, or if Grandpa Rudy was with us, he was driving, Bob, my dad, one of those 3 was up there. And then you had Richie and little Richie, and you had Angelo, and then you had Randy, and you had my brother John, and you had me and Richie back here. We all piled in this thing every weekend, all weekend long. We used to have an ice chest in there. You'd have your jackets, your gear, your gun. Well, what my dad and Bob were talking about is they're like, that thing is awful small. And they can't really see because they're all kind of sitting down as we drive into the places. What we need to do is get that seat up. And what they come up with was they mounted the seat, and you can see the remnants of it. I actually broke this when we were towing it on here, but this thing sat up. In fact, come over here to this side. The front part of that seat sat here, and the seat was here, and we put our feet right on this tailgate. No big deal, right? Except you're going down the highway. Yeah, no seat belts, no nothing. So you're sitting out here in a V8 Jeep back here like this. You better hold on. There ain't nowhere to hold on to. You'd wrap your hands underneath the bottom of it. You had your gun rested here and, you know, flying down the road. That's what we did. It was the 70s and the early 80s. That's how we got around in this thing. And, you know, went off-roading it. Great. Went into the ranch areas where we're hunting. Great. If you had to get back to the other ranch, you had to go on the highway. And we jumped right on the highway. Sundays we used to take and go to breakfast there in Dry Creek. And so we said, well, let's take Jeep. So we go out hunting all morning. And then he'd come down, he had to go into town. So you riding back here. It just amazes me that how we are now with everything seat belted down and all that. And of course, I'm not going to return that part. We're going to take that part off. It's just way too dangerous. I'm not going to put my grandkids or Richie's grandkids or any of our family is not going to do that. So I'm going to remount the seat in the back, repad the stuff, and we're going to call that good. I'm going to pull all this off and just put it back to like it was originally. So I just thought that was a neat thing to share. You know, you always hear these tales of people doing stuff. I'm here to tell you that's where we sat. Kind of crazy. So that's the Jeep. I want you to follow along as we build it. This thing's going to skip ahead. I got one more deal I have to build, which is Survivor. Coach Ben Wade. That's his Blazer right there. That's going in the shop starting tomorrow. So this thing's going to come off, and I'm going to get that thing going, and I'm going to keep telling myself that I got to get Coach Ben Wade's Blazer done, so I can't do this yet. So within a couple weeks, I'm going to start on this. We're going to go through the fluids. I'm going to buff the paint up. We're going to change the tires. You know, they're a little worn. I don't think they'll work. So we have to put tires on it and, you know, that kind of stuff. So again, follow along. If you've had a CJ3B, go in the comments and tell me all about that. If you've ever done anything in a Jeep like that, tell me about that also. If you know about the hubs or the winch. I do know about this roll bar. I understand this roll, and you could tell, boy, when you hit it. I understand there's axles in here where they bent them, and you can see in the center where they cut it, and they made these things out of axles and covered it with tubing. Really cool deal. So I'm not changing any of that. So the basic structure of this thing's going to stay the same. But Anyways, in the comments, you know, I know there's a lot of Jeep people out there and just car people in general. Tell me all about it, because I'm just dying to know. Even this thing had pinstripes at one point. Of course, it has Manzanita pinstripes added to it. So, hey, I'm going to see you at the next video. And thanks for joining me at Jimmy James Garage. You know, I appreciate you, and I really love the comments and the questions. So have a great day, and we'll see you at that next video, right? It's one of these right here.